Hiya kids, I hope you've all been enjoying the videos so far. This past couple of weeks, it's all to do with like being in the army, isn't it? About doing your exercise, making your beds. We saw Caleb making his bed and he did a great job, didn't he? And the word we're talking about this week to do with the army is the word halt. Does anybody know what that means? You know, if you see soldiers marching and the sergeants speaking to them and telling them to do, actually Louise and Caleb did it, I think, didn't it? He was marching up and down the hall and Louise was shouting out the instructions and telling him to about turn and left turn and right turn. And one of those instructions is halt. Now, does anybody know what that means? Yep, it means to stop. But isn't it a nicer way to say halt than to shout stop? Isn't it? Stop! Halt. Nice. What we're talking about today in Kids Church is how we can halt or stop sin doing damage in our lives. And our Bible reading where we can learn about that is in Luke 23 and it's verses 32 to 46 if you want to look that up after this. So how can we stop sin doing damage in our lives? Well, everybody knows what sin is, don't we? Sin is doing things that God doesn't really think that are going to help us, it doesn't want us to do. Sin is things that have consequences, which is results. If you do something, there's always going to be a consequence or a result. If you do something good, you're going to make people feel really happy. You're going to feel good yourself because you have been kind and loving to someone. But if you commit sin and you do something that's not very nice, what's the consequences or the result of that? You could hurt someone, you could hurt their feelings, you could make them feel very sad. Or you could do something that's going to even hurt you and it's going to have awful consequences for you. It's going to make you feel sad, or it could make people turn against you, make people not like you. And what is that? You know, what result is that? That's not a good result. When you do things sometimes in your life that hurt people, or you do things that you know aren't right, isn't it nicer to ask, could you forgive me for that? Could we just forget about that and move on? I'm really sorry and I'm going to try harder. Like even, I'm thinking kids like at home, you know, sometimes I know when I was little I used to do things that upset my mummy and daddy. Like I went, my sister Pauline, she was a bad one. Oh, she was. She used to go out and she was told to be home for 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, there was still no sign of her. She used to get into trouble all the time. And she said she was sorry and she would never do it again. And my mum and dad said, that's okay, don't. Sometimes she did and forgot herself. But that's what we're all like. We do things that sometimes we're hurting people or we're upsetting people. And the best way is to ask forgiveness. And just say you're sorry. And we can do that, you know, with Jesus. And he forgives even bigger sins. He forgives us bigger things and forgives us and lets us move on if we say we're sorry. And the story in Luke is about actually when Jesus was crucified. That's when he was killed on the cross. We've talked about that before in Sunday school. And he was hanging on the cross, and on either side of him there were two criminals, two bad men. And they had done things in their life and they were paying the consequences for their sin. They were paying the penalty. They deserved, as far as the people were concerned, to be on those crosses, to die, because they had done bad things. Now we don't know what they'd done. They could have murdered somebody, could have stolen. Sometimes in countries if you steal, that's what happens. But anyway, these two criminals, they were being crucified as well. But they were being crucified because they were being punished and paying for what they had done. And in the middle cross, there was Jesus, who hadn't done anything wrong at all. And you know, Jesus was so powerful that he could have taken himself down off that cross if he wanted to, but he chose to stay there and die because he was taking the punishment for the things that we had done, for our sin. He was seeking forgiveness for us for the things that we had done, the punishment that we deserved. So he chose to stay there. And while he was there on that cross, the people down below were shouting out to him. And they were saying, you can get yourself down if you want. Sure, you said you're the Son of God. So come down from the cross. But Jesus chose to stay there because he knew that he had to die, that he had to take our punishment upon him so that we could be forgiven and set free. And you know, while he was there, those two criminals, those men on either side of him, one of them, he laughed with the crowd as well, and he mocked Jesus as well. And he said, look, listen to what they're saying, get down, you didn't do anything. And you know what the other criminal said? He said, look, don't make fun of them. We deserve to be here. We have committed sin. We have done something we shouldn't have done. We deserve to be here to get this punishment. But this man beside us, in the middle between us, he hasn't done anything wrong. He doesn't deserve to be here. And what he said to Jesus was, Lord, will you remember me? And you know what Jesus said to him? Today you'll be with me in paradise. And that means that Jesus forgave that criminal his sin. So that criminal had asked Jesus to forgive him, and he did it. And you know, in another verse in the Bible, in 1 John chapter 1 verse 9, it tells us that if we confess our sin, and that means to confess means to admit it and to say that we're sorry, that Jesus will forgive us. So how can we stop or halt sin in our lives from doing damage? The meaning we have to pay consequences for things. You just have to say to Jesus every day, not just once a week or whenever you go to church or when you remember. Every day. And the best time to do it, you know, is either when you've done the thing and you know that it's not right, or every night when you're going to bed and you're saying your prayers and you're asking Jesus to forgive you over and over again, and he will. Now, he's forgiven us one time, big time, for everything, but sometimes we forget ourselves and we'll maybe say something that wasn't nice and we've hurt somebody's feelings, and that can damage a relationship. That can damage like a friendship with people, because if you're always saying things to friends that aren't nice, sooner or later they won't want to be your friend because you've hurt them so much. Well, it's not nice to do that. So what you can do is every night you can say to Jesus, look, today I said this to somebody, or I was asked to do that and I didn't do that, and I know that wasn't the right thing. I know I'm supposed to be kind and I'm supposed to love everybody, and sometimes it's hard to do. But just say, Jesus, look, I'm really sorry. I'll do my best not to do it again. Would you please forgive me? You know? And then that wipes the slate clean. That means you're getting up the next morning with a new fresh page ready to go again. And remember that you can ask Jesus to forgive your sin, and he will. So I hope you have a great week, and I'm hoping too it won't be long till we'll all be back to kids' church and we can all maybe practice our marching and all the things that we've been watching on the videos. But remember, kids, that we love you all and we miss you terribly, and we'll hopefully see you all soon. Bye.